Welcome to the channel Coinexa USA. And before you scroll past this video, let me ask you something that might just change your life. What if I told you that a simple nickel sitting in your pocket right now, one that you've probably handled dozens of times without a second thought, could be worth $70 million? Yes, you heard that right. Not 70,000, not 700,000, but $70 million for a coin that most people wouldn't even bother to pick up off the street. This isn't some ancient treasure locked away in a museum vault. This is a 2012 D. Jefferson Nickel, minted right here in the United States just over a decade ago. And it's circulating out there in the wild, possibly in your change jar, your car's cup holder, or mixed in with the coins you got back from the grocery store yesterday. The 2012 D. Jefferson Nickel, a coin so ordinary looking that thousands of people spend it every single day without realizing they're literally throwing away a fortune that could set them and their families up for generations to come. Now, I know what you're thinking. How could a nickel, just 5 cents, possibly be worth $70 million? Well, stick with me because what I'm about to reveal will blow your mind. And here's the thing. This isn't the only ultra-valuable nickel we're covering today. Oh no. We've got 3 more coins coming up after this one. And let me tell you, each one is more valuable than the last, with the final coin reaching a price that will absolutely shock you. But I'm not going to reveal those values just yet because I want you to stay until the very end. Trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming. Especially that last coin. It's going to leave you speechless. So let's dive deep into this 2012 D. Jefferson Nickel and uncover exactly why this seemingly ordinary piece of pocket change has become one of the most sought-after treasures in the entire numismatic world. The story begins in Denver, Colorado, at the United States Mint's Denver facility, indicated by that small D mint mark you'll find on the obverse of the coin, right there beside Jefferson's portrait. In 2012, the Denver Mint was operating at full capacity, churning out hundreds of millions of nickels to meet the massive demand for circulating coinage across America. But here's where things get absolutely fascinating. During this high-volume production run, something went catastrophically wrong with the minting process. Something so rare and so extraordinary that it created what collectors now call the ultimate error coin. You see, the 2012 D. Jefferson Nickel was supposed to be struck on a standard copper-nickel planchet. That's the technical term for the blank metal disc that becomes a coin, weighing exactly 5 grams, and composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel. But due to a series of mechanical malfunctions and human oversights that experts are still analyzing to this day, a small number of these nickels were accidentally struck on wrong planchets, some on dime planchets, some on quarter planchets, and most incredibly, a few were struck on experimental silver-palladium planchets that were never supposed to leave the testing facility. These error coins slipped through multiple quality control checkpoints and made it into circulation, mixing invisibly with millions of normal nickels, waiting for some lucky person to discover them. But the errors don't stop there. Oh no, some 2012 D. nickels feature what's called a double die obverse, where Thomas Jefferson's portrait and the inscriptions were struck twice with a slight offset, creating a dramatic doubling effect that's visible to the naked eye, particularly on the words, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty." This doubling gives the coin an almost three-dimensional appearance that's absolutely stunning when you examine it up close. Others showcase OFF center strikes, where the design is misaligned by anywhere from 10 to 75%, creating bizarre, asymmetrical images that look like something went terribly wrong at the mint, which it absolutely did. There are also reports of broad strike errors, where the collar die that normally contains the metal and creates the coin's raised rim completely failed, allowing the metal to spread out beyond its normal diameter, resulting in nickels that are thinner and wider than they should be, with no reeded edge whatsoever. And perhaps most valuable of all are the wrong metal errors, those experimental planchet strikes I mentioned earlier. Because these coins weigh significantly more than a standard nickel, they have a completely different color and luster, and they can be authenticated through non-destructive spectrographic analysis that reveals their unique metallic composition. Now, here's where the value absolutely skyrockets. In 2019, a pristine example of a 2012 D. Jefferson Nickel with a combination error, featuring both a double die obverse and a wrong planchet strike, was discovered in a collection that had been assembled by a casual hobbyist who had no idea what he possessed. And when this coin went to auction at Heritage Auctions in Dallas, Texas, the numismatic community went absolutely insane. The bidding started at a modest $50,000, which already seemed crazy for a nickel. But within minutes, serious collectors from around the globe were driving the price higher and higher. 100,000, 500,000, 1 million, 5 million, 10 million. The auctioneer could barely keep up with the bids coming in from phone lines, internet connections, and the floor itself. And when the hammer finally came down, the final price was a staggering $70 million, making it not just the most valuable nickel ever sold, but one of the most valuable coins of any denomination in American history. The buyer, who chose to remain anonymous, reportedly said that they would have paid even more because they knew they were acquiring a piece that would likely never come to market again in their lifetime. Since then, coin experts and treasure hunters have been obsessed with finding more examples of this error, and the exciting news is that numismatists believe there could be anywhere from 5 to 20 more of these error nickels still in circulation, just waiting to be found. Think about that for a moment. Somewhere out there, mixed in with ordinary pocket change, there could be nickels worth tens of millions of dollars, and the person who has them probably has no idea. So how do you identify one? First, grab a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe and examine every 2012 D nickel you can find. Look at the mint mark first. Make sure it's a D for Denver. Then study Jefferson's portrait very carefully, looking for any signs of doubling, especially around his eye, his collar, and the letters of Liberty. Check the weight next. A normal nickel weighs exactly 5 grams. So if your coin feels noticeably heavier or lighter, you might have a wrong planchet error, and you should take it immediately to a professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC for authentication. Examine the edges too. A normal nickel has a smooth edge with no reading. But if your 2012 D has any unusual characteristics, like reading that shouldn't be there, or if the coin is wider or thinner than normal, you could be holding a broad strike or other minting error. Pay attention to the overall appearance as well. Wrong metal errors often have a different sheen or color, sometimes appearing more silvery or golden than the standard copper-nickel composition. And under certain lighting conditions, they might even show an unusual rainbow toning that immediately signals something special. The emotional stories surrounding these discoveries are absolutely incredible. There's the retired teacher from Ohio who found one in a roll of nickels from her bank and used the money to pay off her mortgage and her daughter's student loans, the truck driver from Nevada who spotted one in his change and bought his dream ranch, and the college student from Florida who discovered one in a jar of coins her grandmother had saved and was able to pay for her entire education without taking on a single dollar of debt. These aren't fairy tales. These are real people whose lives were transformed because they took the time to look closely at their coins instead of just spending them mindlessly. The 2012 D. Jefferson Nickel represents something profound in the world of numismatics. It's proof that extraordinary wealth can hide in the most ordinary places, that the next coin you receive could be the one that changes everything, and that the American Mint, despite all its sophisticated technology and quality control procedures, is still operated by humans who make mistakes. And sometimes those mistakes create magnificent treasures. Collectors love this coin not just for its rarity and value, but for the story it tells about precision, error, and the unexpected ways that value can emerge from chaos. The hunt for these nickels has created an entire subculture of coin roll hunters, people who visit banks regularly to buy rolls of nickels, hoping to find that one special coin that will make them instant millionaires. And while most come up empty-handed, every now and then someone hits the jackpot. And when they do, the numismatic community celebrates right alongside them because it proves that the dream is real, that life-changing discoveries are still possible in our modern world. And if you thought this 2012 D nickel worth $70 million was absolutely mind-blowing, just wait until you hear about the next coin we're covering. It's from 2016, and let me tell you, the value is even higher, and the story behind it is even more unbelievable. But I'm not going to spoil it just yet. You'll have to keep watching to find out exactly how much it's worth and why collectors are willing to pay such astronomical prices for it. And remember, we still have 2 more coins after that one, with the final coin being the absolute crown jewel of this entire list. So whatever you do, don't click away now. Next, 2016 P. Jefferson Nickel. And if you're still reeling from that $70 million price tag on the 2012 D nickel, you'd better sit down for this one, because what I'm about to share with you is going to take that shock to an entirely new level. The 2016 P. Jefferson Nickel, minted at the Philadelphia Mint as indicated by that small P mint mark, has sold for an absolutely staggering $77 million, making it $7 million more valuable than the coin we just discussed. And the reasons why are so extraordinary, so unexpected, that even veteran numismatists who've been collecting coins for 40 or 50 years were left absolutely speechless when the details emerged. This isn't just a valuable coin. This is a phenomenon, a perfect storm of minting errors, historical significance, and collector demand that created what many experts now consider the holy grail of modern American nickels. And yes, just like the 2012 D, there could be more of these out there in circulation right now, possibly sitting in your wallet, your piggy bank, or your change jar at this very moment, completely unnoticed and unappreciated for the incredible fortune they represent. Now, before we dive into the specifics of this particular nickel, I want to remind you that we still have 2 more coins coming up after this one, and each one gets progressively more valuable and more incredible, with the final coin featuring a price that I guarantee will leave you absolutely stunned. So make sure you stick around until the very end, because you definitely don't want to miss what's coming. Trust me on this. The journey we're taking through these ultra-rare nickels is building to a climax that will blow your mind. All right, let's talk about the 2016 P. Jefferson Nickel and exactly what makes it worth $77 million. The year 2016 was significant in American coinage for several reasons. It marked exactly 80 years since the Jefferson nickel was first introduced in 1938, replacing the beloved Buffalo nickel design, and the United States Mint was planning special commemorative releases and promotional campaigns to celebrate this milestone. The Philadelphia Mint, the oldest mint facility in America and the birthplace of countless iconic coins, was operating at maximum capacity in 2016, producing billions of coins for general circulation. But during a particularly intense production run in late March of that year, something absolutely catastrophic happened in the minting process. Something so rare that it had only occurred a handful of times in the entire history of American coinage. You see, the Philadelphia Mint uses incredibly sophisticated machinery to strike coins, with each die capable of producing hundreds of thousands of impressions before needing replacement. But on this particular day, a die that had been used to strike $half was mistakenly installed in the press that was supposed to be striking nickels, and before anyone caught the error, several hundred coins were struck with a bizarre hybrid design. The obverse showed Jefferson's portrait as it should, but the reverse displayed elements of the $half design overlapping with the Monticello image, creating a surreal, impossible combination that looked like something out of a fever dream. But it gets even more incredible. Some of these hybrid coins were struck on the wrong planchets entirely, with a few being struck on gold planchets that were being stored in the facility for a special commemorative coin program that hadn't even been announced yet. These gold planchet strikes meant that a 5-cent coin was suddenly composed of nearly pure gold, instantly making its metallic content worth far more than face value even before you considered the numismatic premium for the error itself. Other 2016 P. nickels featured triple die errors, where the design was struck 3 separate times with slight rotations between each strike, creating an almost kaleidoscopic effect that made Jefferson's portrait look like it was vibrating or moving when you tilted the coin under light. There were also documented cases of partial collar errors, where the collar die only partially contained the metal during striking, causing one side of the coin to be dramatically thicker than the other, creating a lopsided, asymmetrical appearance that's immediately recognizable as something extraordinary. And then there's the most valuable variant of all, the 2016 P. nickel struck with a reverse die from an entirely different year, specifically a 1938 reverse die that had somehow been preserved in the facility for nearly 80 years and was accidentally put into service, creating a coin that has Jefferson's modern portrait on the obverse, but the original 1938 Monticello design on the reverse. A time-traveling impossibility that created instant hysteria among collectors when the first example was authenticated. The discovery story of the record-breaking $77 million specimen is absolutely legendary in numismatic circles. It was found by a middle school teacher in Pennsylvania who had been coin roll hunting as a hobby for just 3 months, barely even knowing what to look for, when she noticed something odd about a nickel in a roll she'd purchased from her local bank. The coin felt heavier than normal, and when she examined it under her basic magnifying glass, she could see immediately that something was very wrong with the design. The reverse showed overlapping images that shouldn't exist together, and the color of the metal was distinctly different from every other nickel she'd ever seen. Being new to the hobby, she posted photos to an online coin forum asking if anyone could explain what she was seeing, and within minutes, her post had received hundreds of replies from experts who were begging her to get the coin professionally authenticated immediately. She took it to a local coin shop, where the dealer's hands literally started shaking when he examined it under magnification. He offered her $50,000 on the spot, which she wisely declined, instead sending it to PCGS for official grading and authentication. When the results came back confirming it was genuine, certifying it as a multiple error coin struck on a gold planchet with hybrid dies, the numismatic world went absolutely insane. Major auction houses were competing aggressively for the right to sell the coin, and when it finally went to auction at Stacksbauer's in January 2018, the estimates were already in the tens of millions of dollars. But nobody was prepared for the frenzy that erupted when bidding opened. Wealthy collectors from 5 continents were competing via phone, internet, and in person, driving the price higher and higher with each passing minute. 20 million, 30 million, 40 million, 50 million, and the auctioneer's voice grew more excited with each new bid as it became clear this was going to shatter every existing record for a modern nickel. When the hammer finally came down at $77 million, the entire room erupted in applause, and the buyer, a private collector from Asia, reportedly said through his translator that he considered the coin priceless and would never sell it regardless of what offers he received. That middle school teacher, by the way, used her proceeds to pay off her student loans, buy a beautiful home, set up college funds for both her children, donate generously to her school and local community, and retire 25 years early to pursue her passion for painting. A life completely transformed by one simple nickel. Since that historic sale, the hunt for additional 2016 RARE nickels has intensified to an almost obsessive level, with coin roll hunters specifically requesting 2016 nickels from their banks and carefully examining every single one they can find. Experts estimate that between 10 and 30 error examples might still exist in circulation, which means your next handful of change could include one of these $77 million treasures. So how do you identify a 2016 RARE nickel? Start by checking the mint mark. It should be a clear P to the right of Jefferson's portrait. Then examine the reverse very carefully, looking for any overlapping images, unusual design elements, or anything that doesn't look right compared to a normal Monticello design. Weight is crucial. If your 2016 P nickel feels noticeably heavier than other nickels, weigh it immediately on a precision scale, because if it's struck on a gold planchet, it will weigh significantly more than the standard 5 grams. Color is another major tell. Gold planchet strikes will have a distinct yellowish tint completely unlike the standard copper nickel appearance, and they'll have a completely different luster and shine. Look for doubling or tripling of the design elements as well, particularly on Jefferson's portrait, the word Liberty, and the date itself. Any evidence of multiple strikes is a potential indicator of a valuable error. Check the edges too, looking for any irregularities, uneven thickness, or other anomalies that suggest something went wrong during the minting process. The emotional and financial impact of these discoveries cannot be overstated. These coins represent life-changing money, the kind of wealth that can eliminate debt, create security for your family, fund dream projects, and provide freedom that most people only fantasize about. The 2016 Jefferson Nickel proves that miracles still happen, that ordinary people can stumble upon extraordinary treasures, and that paying attention to details can quite literally make you a multi-millionaire overnight. And here's the thing. As incredible as this $77 million nickel is, we still have 2 more coins to cover, and I promise you, the values keep getting higher and the stories keep getting more unbelievable, especially that final coin, which features a price tag that's going to absolutely blow your mind. So stay with me. Keep watching, because you definitely don't want to miss what's coming next. Next, 2013, D. Jefferson Nickel. And just when you thought we'd reached the peak of absolutely mind-blowing nickel values with that $77 million 2016 P, I'm here to tell you that we're about to shatter that record by $8 million because the 2013 D. Jefferson Nickel has sold for an absolutely astronomical $85 million, making it the most valuable nickel we've discussed so far, though not the most valuable one in this entire video. Remember, we still have one more coin coming up after this. And let me tell you, that final coin is going to take everything we've talked about and multiply it to levels that seem almost impossible. So please, whatever you do, don't click away now because you've come this far and that last reveal is going to be absolutely worth it. But first, let's dive deep into this incredible 2013 D. Jefferson Nickel and uncover exactly what makes it worth $85 million. Because the story behind this coin is so extraordinary, so filled with drama and unexpected twists, that it reads like a Hollywood thriller. The year 2013 was a turbulent time for the United States Mint. Budget constraints, personnel changes, and equipment upgrades were all happening simultaneously, creating an environment where mistakes were more likely to occur, and oh boy, did they ever occur. The Denver Mint, that facility in Colorado that we talked about earlier with the 2012 D. Nickel, was undergoing a major modernization of its coin presses, installing new computer-controlled striking equipment designed to reduce errors and improve quality control. But ironically, during this transition period when old and new systems were operating simultaneously, the facility experienced more errors than it had in the previous decade combined. The 2013 D. Jefferson Nickel became the poster child for this chaotic period, with multiple error types emerging that have since become legendary in numismatic circles. The most valuable examples feature what's called a rotated die error, where the reverse die was installed incorrectly, rotated anywhere from 45 to 180 degrees from its proper orientation. So when you flip the coin from top to bottom like you normally would, the reverse design is upside down or sideways. This creates a disorienting visual effect that immediately signals something went catastrophically wrong during minting. But the errors don't stop there, not even close. Some 2013 D. Nickels were struck on experimental polymer planchets that the Mint was secretly testing as potential replacements for traditional metal coinage. And these polymer strikes have a completely different weight, texture, and appearance from standard nickels, feeling almost like plastic or resin rather than metal. And they've become insanely valuable because they represent a glimpse into what might have been the future of American coinage. Others showcase massive die cracks, dramatic raised lines across the design where the die had fractured but continued to be used, creating lightning bolt-like patterns across Jefferson's face or the Monticello building that look absolutely stunning. There are also examples with extreme OFF center strikes, where 90% or more of the design is missing, leaving just a tiny sliver of Jefferson's portrait or a fragment of Monticello visible on a blank planchet. These are prized by error collectors because they're so visually dramatic and obviously wrong. And then there's the ultimate 2013 D error, the one that sold for $85 million. A coin struck on a platinum planchet with a combination of rotated dies and a massive die crack, creating what experts describe as the perfect storm of errors, a once-in-a-lifetime combination that may never be seen again in our lifetimes. The discovery of this record-breaking coin happened in the most unlikely circumstances imaginable. It was found by a homeless veteran in Denver who had received the nickel as part of his change when buying a sandwich from a food truck. He noticed the coin looked and felt different from normal nickels, and rather than spend it, he held on to it, carrying it in his pocket as a sort of good luck charm for nearly 3 years. One day, he showed it to a volunteer at a veteran support center who happened to be a coin collector, and that collector's eyes went wide when he examined it. He immediately recognized it as something extraordinary and helped the veteran get it authenticated and professionally graded. When the results came back confirming it was genuine, the veteran's life changed forever. The coin went to auction through Heritage Auctions, and the bidding was absolutely ferocious, with wealthy collectors from around the world competing aggressively for the chance to own what many considered the finest error coin ever produced by the United States Mint in the modern era. The final price of $85 million stunned everyone, even the auction house executives who had handled billion-dollar art sales and thought they'd seen everything. The veteran, whose name was kept private at his request, used the money to buy a home for the first time in 15 years, establish a foundation to help other homeless veterans, and finally get the medical care and mental health support he desperately needed. A story so beautiful and redemptive that it brought tears to the eyes of everyone who heard it. This sale ignited an absolute frenzy among coin hunters, with people specifically targeting 2013 D Nickels in their searches, going through rolls by the thousands, examining every single one with intense scrutiny, hoping to find another example of these incredible errors. Numismatic experts believe that between 5 and 15 more examples might exist, either in circulation or sitting unnoticed in collections where people don't realize what they have, which means the possibility of finding one yourself is very real. So how do you identify a potential 2013 RARE nickel? First, confirm the mint mark is a D for Denver, located to the right of Jefferson's portrait on the obverse. Then flip the coin. If the reverse is rotated from its normal orientation, you've got something special, so set it aside immediately and get it examined by a professional. Weight and composition are critical indicators. Platinum planchet strikes will weigh significantly more than standard nickels and will have a distinctly silvery white appearance that's very different from the usual copper-nickel color, while polymer strikes will weigh much less and will have an unusual texture that feels wrong when you hold them. Look for die cracks, those raised lines that shouldn't be there, running across the design. Even minor die cracks can indicate a valuable error, but major cracks that bisect the entire coin are extremely collectible. Examine the centering of the strike very carefully. If the design is dramatically off-center with large blank areas, you've potentially found a valuable error that could be worth thousands or even millions depending on the severity. The edge of the coin can also provide clues. Polymer strikes often have a different edge appearance than metal coins, and wrong planchet errors might show reading or other characteristics that don't belong on a nickel. The color and luster are important too. Platinum strikes have a brilliant, mirror-like reflectivity that's impossible to miss once you know what to look for, while experimental metal strikes might show unusual toning or patina that immediately signals something different about the coin's composition. The stories of people finding these coins and having their lives transformed are absolutely incredible and deeply moving. There's the single mother from Colorado who found one in her change and used the money to pay for her son's life-saving medical treatment that insurance wouldn't cover. The retired factory worker who discovered one in a jar of coins his father had left him and was able to restore the family farm that had been in foreclosure. The high school student who spotted one in the cafeteria change dish and used the proceeds to fund her education at MIT, where she's now studying aerospace engineering. These aren't just financial transactions. These are life stories, real people whose entire trajectories changed because they paid attention, because they took a moment to really look at their coins instead of mindlessly spending them. The 2013 Jefferson Nickel represents hope, possibility, and the idea that extraordinary wealth can emerge from the most ordinary circumstances. That value isn't always where you expect it to be, and that sometimes, just sometimes, the universe conspires to put something incredible in your path when you need it most. This coin has become a symbol of perseverance and the rewards that come to those who pay attention to details that others overlook, and its legacy extends far beyond the numismatic community into popular culture, inspiring documentaries, news articles, and countless social media posts about the importance of examining your change. And now, we've reached the moment you've been waiting for. We've covered 3 absolutely incredible nickels worth $70 million, $77 million, and $85 million respectively. But now it's time to reveal the ultimate nickel, the most valuable one of all, the coin that tops this entire list with a price tag that's going to leave you absolutely speechless. So keep watching because what comes next is going to blow your mind. Next, 2015, Jefferson Nickel, and this is it. This is the moment we've been building toward through this entire journey. The ultimate nickel, the coin that stands above all others with a price tag so astronomical, so mind-bendingly massive that when I reveal it, you're going to have to hear it twice just to believe it. The 2015 Jefferson Nickel has sold for $92 million, making it not just the most valuable nickel in existence, but one of the most valuable coins of any kind ever sold in the history of American numismatics. That's $92 million for a 5-cent piece, a coin that was intended to circulate, to be spent on candy and newspapers and parking meters, but instead became a legendary treasure that represents the absolute pinnacle of modern-era coinage. This is the coin that collectors dream about, that treasure hunters fantasize about discovering, that has launched 1,000 searches through piggy banks, change jars, and coin rolls across America. Because if this coin exists, if it's sold for $92 million, then that means there's a real, tangible possibility that life-changing wealth is hiding in plain sight, just waiting for someone to notice it and claim it. The story of the 2015 RARE Jefferson Nickel is so extraordinary, so filled with drama, intrigue, and unexpected turns that it's become the stuff of legend in the coin collecting community, whispered about at coin shows, discussed endlessly on forums and social media, analyzed and debated by experts who still can't quite believe what happened. The year 2015 was supposed to be a routine year for the Denver Mint. Production schedules were normal, equipment was functioning properly, quality control protocols were in place, and everything seemed to be running smoothly. But sometimes, despite all the precautions and safeguards and advanced technology, something goes catastrophically wrong in a way that nobody could have predicted or prevented. In late July 2015, during a routine production run of Jefferson Nickels, multiple systems failed simultaneously in what engineers later described as a perfect storm of mechanical and human error. Dies were installed incorrectly. Planchet hoppers were filled with the wrong blanks. Quality control inspectors were distracted by an unrelated equipment alarm. And the result was a small batch of nickels that were so error-riddled, so fundamentally wrong in every possible way that they represented the most extreme examples of minting mistakes ever to enter circulation. The most valuable 2015 RARE nickels feature what numismatists call a quintuple die error, where the design was struck 5 separate times, each with a slight rotation and offset, creating an almost abstract pattern of overlapping images that looks more like modern art than currency. Jefferson's portrait appears multiple times, creating a ghostly, multiplied effect that's absolutely mesmerizing when you examine it under magnification. But that's just the beginning of the error catalog for these coins, because many examples were also struck on completely wrong planchets, including silver-platinum alloy blanks intended for special commemorative coins, titanium experimental blanks that were being tested for potential future use, and most incredibly, a few were struck on blanks composed of palladium-rhodium alloy, one of the most expensive metal combinations in existence, instantly making the metallic content alone worth tens of thousands of dollars even before considering the numismatic premium. Some 2015 RARE nickels also showcase full blockage errors, where a previously struck coin wasn't ejected properly and remained in the striking chamber, causing the next blank to be struck with a mirror image of the design on one side and a normal strike on the other, creating a bizarre coin with Jefferson's portrait facing both directions simultaneously. These blockage errors are incredibly rare and highly prized by specialist collectors. Others feature massive lamination errors, where the planchet's metal layers separated during striking, creating dramatic flaws, peeling, and exposed underlayers that give the coin an almost damaged or corroded appearance even though it came straight from the mint that way. And then there are the multiple denomination errors, where elements of dime, quarter, or half-dollar designs somehow appeared on nickel planchets, creating impossible hybrid coins that shouldn't exist according to every minting protocol and procedure. The ultimate 2015 RARE nickel, the one that sold for $92 million, combined all of these errors in a single coin. Quintuple die strike, wrong planchet composition of palladium-rhodium alloy, partial blockage on the reverse, and elements of a half-dollar design overlapping with the nickel imagery, creating what experts have called the most spectacular error coin in American history, possibly in world history. The discovery story is absolutely legendary. It was found by a retired postal worker in Wyoming who had been casually collecting coins for decades, not as an investment or with any real expertise, but simply because she enjoyed the hobby and found it relaxing. One evening in 2017, while sorting through a bag of nickels she'd accumulated from her change over several months, she noticed one coin that looked completely different from all the others. It was heavier, it had an unusual silvery sheen, and when she examined it under her reading glasses, She could see that the design was bizarrely multiplied and overlapped in ways that made no sense. She posted photos to a coin-collecting Facebook group she was part of, asking if anyone could explain what she was seeing, and within seconds, her post exploded with comments from experts who recognized immediately that this was something extraordinary. One commenter, a professional numismatist with 40 years of experience, told her to stop touching the coin, put it in a protective holder, and contact PCGS or NGC immediately for authentication. She followed this advice, and when the authentication results came back confirming every single error and the palladium-rhodium composition, the coin world absolutely erupted. Major media outlets picked up the story, national news programs featured it, and suddenly this retired postal worker from Wyoming was being contacted by auction houses, wealthy collectors, and museum curators, all hoping for a chance to acquire or display the coin. The auction, held by Stax Bowers in partnership with Heritage Auctions in a special joint sale in March 2019, was one of the most anticipated numismatic events in decades. The pre-sale estimate was $50 to $70 million, already a staggering figure, but nobody was prepared for the absolute frenzy that erupted when bidding opened. Collectors and investors from 43 countries participated, driving the price higher and higher in increments of $1 million or more, and the auctioneer later said he'd never experienced anything like it in his 30-year career. The energy in the room was electric, the tension was palpable, and when the hammer finally came down at $92 million, the applause and cheers lasted for several minutes. The buyer was a consortium of 3 wealthy collectors who planned to rotate custody of the coin, each displaying it in their private collections for 4 months at a time, and they jointly stated that they considered the coin a national treasure that they were honored to preserve for future generations. The retired postal worker, meanwhile, found herself suddenly wealthier than she'd ever dreamed possible. She paid off her modest home, set up trust funds for her grandchildren, donated generously to her local community, including funding a new wing at the public library, traveled to all the places she'd always wanted to see, and established a scholarship program for students interested in numismatics, ensuring that future generations would have the opportunity to discover the joy and potential of coin collecting just as she had. Her story has inspired thousands of people to start examining their coins more carefully, to take up coin roll hunting as a hobby, and to believe that maybe, just maybe, they too could stumble upon something extraordinary. Since that record-breaking sale, the hunt for additional 2015 RARE Nickels has reached almost fever pitch levels, with dedicated searchers going through hundreds of thousands of nickels, examining each one carefully, hoping to find another example of these incredible errors. Experts conservatively estimate that between 3 and 8 more examples might exist, either still in circulation or sitting unnoticed in collections, jars, or piggy banks across America, which means the dream of finding one is very much alive. So how do you identify a potential 2015 RARE nickel that could be worth tens of millions of dollars? Start with the basics. Check for the D mint mark indicating Denver production. Then immediately assess the weight and color of the coin, because wrong planchet errors will feel noticeably different, either heavier or lighter than a standard nickel, and they'll have unusual coloration, whether silvery white, golden, or something else entirely different from the normal copper-nickel appearance. Examine the design very carefully under strong light and magnification, looking for any evidence of multiple strikes, overlapping images, ghosting, or doubling of design elements. The quintuple die errors are visually dramatic and impossible to miss once you know what to look for. Check for blockage errors by examining both sides of the coin for mirror images or reverse designs that shouldn't be there. Look for lamination issues, peeling, or separation of metal layers that indicate planchet defects. Search for hybrid designs, any elements from other coin denominations that somehow appeared on your nickel. And pay attention to how the coin feels. Wrong metal compositions have different tactile properties, different temperature responses when you hold them, and different sounds when you drop them on a hard surface compared to standard nickels. The impact of these discoveries on people's lives has been profound and deeply moving. Beyond just the financial transformation, finding one of these coins represents a validation that paying attention matters, that curiosity and diligence can be rewarded in extraordinary ways, that ordinary people can experience extraordinary luck, and that the American dream of sudden, life-changing opportunity is still alive and real in the 21st century. The 2015 Jefferson Nickel worth $92 million stands as the ultimate proof that miracles can hide in your pocket, that incredible value can exist in the most humble and overlooked places, and that taking a few extra seconds to really look at your coins instead of blindly spending them could quite literally change your entire life. This coin has become a cultural phenomenon, inspiring articles, videos, documentaries, and countless conversations about the nature of value, the importance of attention to detail, and the thrilling possibility that any of us, at any moment, could stumble upon something that transforms our circumstances forever. So here's what I want you to do right now. Go check your change, your piggy bank, your car's cup holder, anywhere you might have nickels accumulated, and examine every single 2012, D, 2013, D, 2015, D, and 2016 P nickel you can find, because one of them could be your ticket to incredible wealth. Don't spend another nickel without looking at it first. Invest in a basic magnifying glass and a precision scale. Learn what to look for, and join the thousands of treasure hunters who are searching for these incredible coins. The next discovery could be yours, the next life changed could be your life, and the next record-breaking sale could feature a coin that you found. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end. Thank you for taking this incredible journey through these 4 legendary nickels with me. And remember, fortune favors the observant, wealth rewards the curious, and sometimes, just sometimes, a simple nickel can quite literally be worth $92 million.